name's Suzanne Dighton. I am a UK artist, and today, as always, I'm going to be talking about art and history combined together. Today's subject is for those that are interested in World War II, anyone who likes archery, and if you just like a little bit of craziness, this is for you. Don't forget at the end to subscribe, press the notification button, like, and please leave a comment if there's anything you would like me to talk about or draw. I'd be more than happy to put it down on paper for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
When I look at my subjects on which I want to draw, I try and find an interesting backstory, and today's subject definitely has that. During the Second World War, we all know of Winston Churchill, but do you know of Jack Churchill? Jack Churchill, sometimes known as Fighting Jack or Mad Jack Churchill, is an outstanding officer who fought in World War II. Jack Churchill was born in 1906 into the background of a typical of his period. His father was a senior administrative and engineering post in colonial services, being based in various places such as Hong Kong. The family was back in England in Surrey at the time of Jack's birth. Even though his family name is from Oxfordshire, his name, like his younger brothers, reflects an ancestry on the Anglo-Scottish border in the Highlands. He was christened John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. Just mentioned he had some brothers. He had two of them, called Thomas and Robert, and they both achieved their fame throughout World War II. Tom joined the Manchester Regiment and then the Commandos and became Major General. Youngest brother, Robert, also known as Buster, became a Royal Navy Lieutenant serving the Fleet Air Arm. Sadly, he died in action though in 1942. Jack Churchill was then educated at Dragon School, Oxford, King William's College on the Isle of Man and Sandhurst. In 1926, he was commissioned into the 2nd Platoon in Manchester Regiment, the start of his adventures during the wartime. He was then sent to Pune in India to do a signal course. On completion, he drove a Zenith motorcycle across India, crashing into a water buffalo at one point. In Burma, he used to cross railway bridges and had open sleepers by stepping onto the sleepers and pushing the bike along the rails. As I tell you this story, at the moment he just seems like a very normal man, but things are going to start getting interesting. One of them, he became an excellent bagpipe player whilst in the regiment under a pipe major of the Cameron Highlanders. Also awarded his first service medal, the Indian General Service Medal with Burma clasp. He's come back to England after all this, and life started to seem a bit dull, so he quit the army and decided he wanted a career as an actor or an entertainer. In 1924, he had a very small role in a film called The Thief of Baghdad, in which he showed off his archery skills. He also represented Great Britain in Norway at the World Archery Competitions in 1939. When the war broke out, he went back to becoming an officer, and his regiment was sent to France. As I just stated that he was very good at archery, Churchill used to use his bow and arrow whilst on patrol, knowing that the bow was an effective weapon, but also a silent weapon to his enemies. At one point, when he was in the Battle of Epernay, he was trapped, and so was his company. Churchill killed the first approaching Nazi soldier with a longbow. He managed to get the remainder of his army to safety by leading them through enemy lines at night despite being shot in the shoulder by a Nazi. He was a natural born leader, and all that followed him admired how he worked, even if it was a little bit crazy. At this point you might start understanding why he's got the nickname Mad Jack Churchill. To leap into action playing March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes, also wearing his bayonet, sword and following orders towards the other men. Now you can find online there is some footage of Jack Churchill playing the bagpipes on deck after he'd done battles. There's also a very famous picture of him jumping off a boat in France whilst he's got his sword in hand ready for battle. He led troops through Sicily and encouraging his men as always with those bagpipes. At this point you may be thinking he is amazing and doing brilliantly. Later he fought in Yugoslavia. However, this is where his downfall happens. He gets captured and sent to a concentration camp. He is said to have been playing Will Ye Know Come Back Again on the bagpipes when a grenade exploded nearby, knocking him out. As I said at the beginning, we know of Winston Churchill, but the Germans thought that Jack Churchill was actually related to him. Steve, any special treatment, he was chained up in a cell in an Austrian concentration camp. But don't worry, our Jack's not going to stay in there for long. He tunnelled his way out only to be recaptured again and sent to a POW camp in Austria. Unsurprisingly, he managed to escape again and walked across the Bremer Pass to Italy. He was then rescued by a German troop. Churchill nearly served in the Pacific as well. He was sent to Burma, where the fighting was still intense. However, by the time he arrived, the war was over. And he was said to be quoted, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going for another 10 years. After the war, Churchill served in the Seaforth Highlanders and then the Highland Light Infantry, saving the lives of 500 patients in a staff hospital near Jerusalem. After the war, sadly, Mad Jack fizzled away into the background and died in 1996. Now, before I leave you, I'm just going to leave you a few little facts about our character today. He is very much well known for quoting, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed," hence why he had his sword. So my favourite fact that I leave you with is nothing to do with the war. In fact, I think this is genius. He used to get on the train home back from London to Surrey. This is later on after the war. And he used to scare commuters whilst he was on the train. He would open a window, chuck his briefcase out the window and sit back down. Now to you and I, we think this is a madman. But this man was not so mad after all. What he was doing was, he was chucking his briefcase into his back garden, so when he got off the train, he didn't have to carry it all the way home. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. And don't forget to subscribe and press the notification button for my next one. Thank you very much for watching.